Hey, welcome everyone. My name is Erin Todd. I'm with Donor Drive. I'm the digital marketing strategist of Donor Drive. Thank you all for coming today and taking time out of your day to listen in, and hopefully you guys will get some great takeaways from our partners who are I'm happy to introduce to you. But first, a few housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded and will be sent out to all registration or people who have registered and have attended today. So that will be in your inboxes a few hours after the conclusion of this webinar. Also, we've done a bunch of webinars in this virtual event series. You can go back and watch all of them if you go through our resources page on the website, donordrive.com. You can also register for upcoming webinars that we have coming, and they're getting added on a weekly basis. So always keep tuning back into that page. Today, I'm glad to introduce you to our partners, Xtream Events and Solutions with Impact. They work with nonprofits to produce great virtual events for our clients and nonprofits all over the country and Canada. They have a lot of valuable information to share, and I'm excited to just let them take it away. So Don and Joel will be presenting to you, and Don is going to start things off with a little video.
The act of sharing has always been a part of our human nature. Food, resources, shelter, support. These are all very early forms of donations from one person to another. Giving has clearly shaped human history in countless ways, both large and small. And the methods of reaching donors has changed throughout the years. In the beginning, contacting donors was done one person at a time, with collection boxes, kettles, and door-to-door appeals. Next came direct mail and phone solicitations, as well as group gatherings, telethons, and events. While these methods helped increase donor support, it was still limited to available resources and a detailed database. Today, everything has changed. The internet has opened the whole world to many charities through online donations, mobile giving, peer-to-peer fundraising, and more. And now, to lead off our webinar, the Chief Executive Officer of Xtream Events, Mr. Don Johnson.
Well, that little short video that we just showed was really intended to just kind of highlight all the gradual changes that have been taking place and have taken place in fundraising up until now. But unfortunately, the reality is huge changes have been forced upon all of us. Everybody on this call has felt the change that we've all been impacted by. And the fact is, the cards that we were playing just 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, have now completely changed. How can we move our events now? The question we're asking to online is absolutely the right question that we believe everybody should be asking right now. In fact, we would even add one more thing to that. It's not just creating online events, but it's really, how do I create great online events? So with that, Erin, thanks to you, Dan, your entire team at Donor Drive for sponsoring this webinar series on online events. I think the timing of this is absolutely perfect, and I know it's on the top of so many people's minds as is reflected of how many people are on this call today. Let me just do a quick level set for everybody on the call for the webinar. Just my background, I worked in the National Basketball Association. I worked in Major League Baseball for a little over 20 years. But I also served as president of the Garth Brooks Teammates for Kids Foundation and also Game Changer Charity. And I think that it's because of that that I believe that we have a lot in common with everybody that's on the call today. We understand the challenges that you guys are encountering right now. And I would also say that we understand for many of you how lonely it is sitting in the chair that you're sitting in. That's just a reality, and we understand it. I would say that my experience would say, though, that you didn't get into the nonprofit business because it's easy. I believe it's because you're all passionate about what you do and the fact of all of the things that your nonprofit does and is delivering during this critical time. And I think that the big thing you're trying to do is figure out, how do you win? And the fact is, we all need wins right now. And I'm just convinced that focusing on doing great online events will help you bridge that gap to get those wins that you're looking for right now. Just a quick anecdote. In 1997, I worked for the San Diego Padres, and at the time, we were the worst team in the National League. We were in last place. It was really a tough season. And the thing that we just said was, we're just going to keep our head down. There's things that we can do better. We're going to continue to improve. And in 1998, it was something that we experienced. We went from worst to first. We were able to beat the Dodgers finally and win the National League West. We beat the Atlanta Braves, and then we were able to go to the World Series against the Yankees. But what that experience always reminds me of is how quickly things can turn for the better. And I believe that things are going to turn around for all of us on this call. I don't know when, but things are going to turn. And I just believe that by refining your online inventory of events, it's absolutely the right thing to be doing right now. So with that, today, my partner, Joel Hawk, who's with Xtream Solutions with Impact, we've come together as two companies and we've formed Xtream Solutions. And he and I are going to quickly walk through what we've learned through real life experiences to be fundamentally true about creating great online events. And then we're going to share with you some practical recent event examples. So with that, I guess the question we want to answer is, so what are those fundamentals to creating a great online experience? And we've really distilled our learnings down to 5 really important execution pillars that we consider to be absolutes in this space. And the first one that we focus on is the whole point of storytelling. And you guys have probably all heard that term before, but I would just say it's a question that we all need to continue to be asking ourselves. Is our story grabbing the heart of the community that we're speaking to? We believe, and we've seen, that our ability to tell a story, grab a heart, is a direct correlation to results. But the second question that we want to ask you today to consider is simply this: can my story be adapted to grab the heart of a new community? Because that's what online opportunities are going to bring, is our ability to talk to new communities. The second one that we really focus on is, the second pillar is engagement. And we just asked 2 questions. And I think the first question, we probably all not only asked the same question, we probably all answered very similarly, but it's, what do I want out of this? What is my motivation as a charity? And I think that probably most of us would answer the question, simply developing and retaining passionate sponsors. And especially now, how do I get to people? How do I tell them my story? And how do I grow the base? And how do I take care of the people that I already have? But the second thing that, the second question is the question I think that really is important is, what is my audience's motivation, especially if I'm talking to new communities? What will motivate the new communities that I have an opportunity to talk to? And often we believe that there's multiple motivations that you need to consider. Number one is just you. People are going to be motivated by your story, your work, the impact that you're making in the world, just people that are socially conscious. But the fact is that online events also give us the opportunity to create alternative motivations. We've seen prizing and incentives and contests being really important. And sometimes those are reasons, quite frankly, why people will join online events and become involved. The other thing is, we really believe in the power of influencers and celebrity. We see when you have a big name celebrity, or you have an online influencer, some people call them content creators, YouTube stars, gamers, that are willing to do social or do events online on your behalf and tell your story. Those are great reasons for people to become involved, and they may become involved just because of them. But nevertheless, use those different motivations to your advantage. The third one is, and we really believe strongly in this, we call it detail. But at the end of the day, we believe that quality, if you're going to do an online event, has to be the number one objective. We believe that money follows quality. just like your physical events, the goal is to create a wow factor, just like you guys all do with your physical events, but now you need to do it on your online events. How can you create that lasting impression so your community wants to come back for the next episode or the next chapter that you're writing in for your nonprofit? The third one is, or the fourth one is amplification, and I'm going to lump both amplification and ROI into the same slide. And this is a working slide that we used for one of our last events, but we believe that amplification is really the great multiplier and what online brings to the table. And online is the opportunity to have others tell your story. It's a numbers game. We all know the more people we talk to, the better chances we have of calling new donors and developing new relationships. My analogy is, I think, especially like when I worked at previous charities, I was really good at telling my story and amplifying to the people that I talked to and were already part of my database. But that was kind of like, I think, a 2-lane highway. And online now gives us a chance to get on this on-ramp to 7 lanes of highway of all of these other ways to tell your story and who can tell it and how they can tell it. The first one that we found to be very powerful is simply, and I think a lot of you are familiar with these, but digital and broadcast partners that are out there. Twitch, for example, right now is one that we've relied on very heavily. And just last month, Twitch had over 1 billion hours of viewership on Twitch. Obviously, those numbers went up because of our circumstances right now, but the fact is a lot of eyeballs are on Twitch, and that's where a lot of our influencers and content creators can tell your story. Mixer, Facebook Live, and we even found Donor Drive to be a great platform. We've done a lot of our broadcasting, and we've actually simulcast a lot of Twitch onto Donor Drive, and a lot of people have viewed and seen stories for the nonprofits we help through Donor Drive and the broadcasting capabilities it has. The next one is, and I talked about it, was influencers, content creators, and social. We know the power of those people. Influencers, content creators, some bring 1,000, some bring 10,000. There's content creators that could bring 1 million eyeballs to what you're doing if you're able to make a connection with them to get them to tell your story online, not to mention their social impact that they have. The other thing is celebrities. We're a big believer in celebrity. Celebrities, when you think we're actually going to have an event coming up later this year, and The Rock and Beyonce are big partners with them, and they are going to provide social support. And when you look at their social imprint, literally well over 100 million people. And anytime they send out any type of social, huge impact. So we just lopped them into this whole idea of amplification and thinking through that. The next one is sponsors. I know a lot of you working with sponsors already. Sponsors bring a lot to the table, not the least of which is money. And I would just mention the fact that sponsors right now, many of them are developing specific digital marketing budgets that can be brought to help underwrite things that you are trying to do. I would also say that you should cast the net further and consider some people you haven't talked to, because right now, a lot of budgets have been diverted from physical events into digital budgets. So you may find that people you talked to before that said, I just can't underwrite that event or do this or that, they may be able to underwrite a specific online event. So I would encourage you to really leverage your sponsor piece. The next one is peer-to-peer. It's something that we believe very, very strongly in. And peer-to-peer is one of the things that Donor Drive does probably better than anybody, is your ability to leverage your community to have them raise money on your behalf. The last event that we did, we were astounded, but we had over 6,500 individuals do peer-to-peer fundraising. They were out raising money on behalf of the charities we were representing, and they were telling their story online and through their social. The next one is game companies. And I know that that may not be in your target for a lot of people, but don't tune the volume down right now, because I think that one of the things you can't pay attention to is game companies. A lot of people are looking to get into the space. Game companies provide an unbelievable opportunity to reach new markets, a very youthful market. They have the ability with huge social footprints. The company that we just did an event for was Bungie. They have multiple games under their platform, but the one that we represented had over 40 million people across the globe that play that game, which is crazy. So just something to consider. But the other thing is just the whole gaming community, and the fact that when you look at how many people game on the face of this earth right now, there's estimated to be over 2.3 billion gamers across the world. It just is an opportunity that if you haven't pursued, you may want to consider ways that you can incorporate gaming into some of your online activities. And finally, all of that, when we pull back and we look at that slide, the fact is the ROI on that is tremendous. The opportunity to tell your story, and really the thing that we believe too about online, it's an opportunity to do something at a low cost, high return. We think that online allows us to pull risk off the table. And we say that because you don't have to get a golf tournament going. You don't have to rent a ballroom. You don't have the physical expenses that you typically incur. And when you're doing things online, the opportunity to do things for a lot less money. So with that said, what I'd like to do is give you an example of one of our recent events that we did. We just concluded this event in November of 2019. It was Game to Give. We think it's a great case study to share with you today. We did it with Bungie and their iPads for Kids Foundation. And then we did it with Children's Miracle Network. And we teamed both of those up. And I think I'll just make one note. One of the things that was interesting about them was that both of them were North American charities and no presence internationally. But we were able to craft their stories in a way to show the benefit that those charities were providing people from all over the world. And we actually created a global event. And I would encourage you on the call today to say, if I'm just a local charity, I'd encourage you to think regionally. And if you're a regional charity, I think there's opportunities to think nationally. And if you're a national charity, I think there's ways that you can modify your story to think globally. So I just challenge you with that. But this event actually checked all the boxes for us. The storytelling, it grabbed people's hearts, engagement, amplification, detail. All of the things that I talked about earlier went into this. And I would just pause and say on detail on the planning to make sure you're delivering a great quality event. Sometimes this one took us 5 months to put together. But the fact is, that's another advantage of our online discussion today, is that the ability to get into online activations quickly and shorten your timelines, compress those to be able to go to market with offers and entertainment solutions and events that can be created in a much shorter time. But I would just encourage you to always pay attention to the quality. In terms of just a few specifics, I would say that from an engagement standpoint, we really paid attention to what these people were doing or what was going to motivate them. And we paid a lot of attention to pricing, especially with influencers and for donors, saying thank you to them. And all of that resulted in transferring over to a lot of social imprint. And from a social standpoint, we were able to get unbelievable social coverage with Instagram, with Twitter, with Facebook, with blogs. And correspondingly, what happened after that was, and we didn't even anticipate this, was the fact that the media jumped on board. A lot of gaming media paid attention to this, but also a lot of traditional media. So I think that you should always have that in the back of your mind, is right now we're finding that media is looking for great stories and great opportunities. And I think you guys are all poised to deliver on that. Deliver a great story, deliver great impact, show people what is happening and how you're making the world a better place. It's a great story and people are looking for those. At the end of the day, these were the results. And I just share these not to be anything other than just to kind of give you an indication of the power of online. We raised $1.6 million, over 40,000 people donated. 6,500 people did peer-to-peer. What was interesting is that we had people donate to North American charities from over 125 countries. We had 177 countries actually jump on and view the campaign. We had a huge number of website views, and we had significant hours. Our streamers went online. They did those 136 hours. Look at those as 136 hours of direct advertising that went right back to those charities. And when you talk about Twitch and the viewership they get, you know, we were talking over 5 million people were watching those 136 hours of streaming. So that is just real quickly kind of an overview of what we experienced and what seemed to go very well. But with that, what I'd like to do is I'm going to turn it over to the second half. The second half is going to be much more interesting than mine probably, but I'm going to introduce Joel Hawk. Joel is my partner in Xtream Solutions. He's also the CEO of Solutions with Impact. They're a leader in this space. They're an award-winning event and agency company in Canada. And, you know, right now, thanks to technology, I'm in Denver, and I'm going to be able to transition this now pretty seamlessly over to Joel all the way in Toronto, Canada. So, Joel, let me turn it over to you, and you look great. And why don't you take over?
Hey, thanks, Don, and everybody, welcome, and welcome to the world of possibilities for online events. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce one of my old friends who you may recognize from the TV show Seinfeld. Please welcome Mr. Peterman, John O'Hurley.
Well, thank you, Joel, for that really sparse introduction. I wasn't expecting much, but boy, did you find a way to thin the herd. So, ladies and gentlemen, how kind of you to chime in, and if you don't mind, I would like to begin again and reintroduce myself. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the man who killed Seinfeld. In a career that began some 30 years ago with a badly lip-synced version of the Yellow Rose of Texas for a K-Tel record commercial of Mitch Miller's greatest hits. Since then, he's managed to kill 3 series of his own, 4 soap operas. He's guest starred on more than 50 television shows. Not one is still on the air. And during sweeps, that golden week of television ratings, he managed to take not 1, not 2, but 3 shows off the air in 1 week. Ellen, Seinfeld, and Damon, ladies and gentlemen, the Grim Reaper of television, John O'Hurley. Well, thank you very much. Joel, that's an introduction. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for queuing in today for this teleconference call in this most unusual time. A period of self-confinement, solitary confinement, personal house arrest, everything with an ankle bracelet without the irritation. Yesterday, I actually won a staring contest with my own reflection in the mirror. That's how boring it is. But regardless, most of us are in the world of raising money. Ever since I have become an actor, I have probably raised close to $50 million with good groups that I've been with on my own personal accord and charities that I have. And that's so important at this time right now. It's fundamental that we continue this and we find a way to do this, which is why it brings me to Joel Hawk and to Solutions with an Impact. I have worked with companies all across the States, and I've always enjoyed my relationship with them in terms of the way that they produce their charities, and I know that they're all pulling their hair out right now. But the only person that I have met that really has a solution to what this new normal is going to be has been Joel Hawk with Solutions with an Impact. And he has this new idea that corresponds what I have always felt about new levels of entertainment, and that is this, that the commercial has to be as compelling as the content. And in the world of fundraising, that the ask has to be as compelling as the cost. Well, Joel has come up with a brand new way. He'll talk to you about it in just a few minutes. But I want to say I can't think of a better way or a better man or a better mind to produce stuff that is going to carry us through this next millennium. I am so pleased to hear what he's thinking about right now, because I know that in this difficult time, we've got to find something. And Joel has found it. So Joel, I'll do a better introduction to you to say that you are one of the most imaginative fundraisers I have ever met in my life. Pleased to know you, my friend, and pleased to introduce you to our wonderful gang here. God bless.
Hey, thanks, John. And I am Joel Huck, CEO of Solutions with Impact. I'm not an actor. If you ask my wife, I'm probably a character. But I'm going to talk about the move into the virtual world, except I'm going to tell our story from a little bit of a different angle. There are several pillars that Don spoke to before that are fundamental in creating a fully integrated online event. And anyone who has been using Donor Drive or another fundraising platform in the past has already been doing a portion of their event online. But in my opinion, there's a difference between doing a virtual event and an online event. The simple definition for me is a virtual event that many of the nonprofits are adapting currently. For example, Walk Run, which now, since social distancing, has forced the cancellation of, we're now simply asking our supporters to please go on to the website, sign up for the event that's now being executed virtually and fundraise. Send us a picture or a video of doing that action. Not really a functioning integrated online event, and likely in most circumstances not going to be wildly effective, and for sure not going to be sustainable. I'm going to walk you through the pillars that we feel that you should build into your initiative, and an example of what we've created that we call fully integrated online event. The entertainment. The content created for the event is what drives the engine of any online initiative. What I mean by this is the more robust, the more exciting, engaging, timely, and democratic, and I don't mean political, the better the story that your foundation can tell, the better the results. Rich content is the desire of every broadcaster, regardless of whether they work in the tradition or online world. The entertainment value is one of the key factors that determines the donor engagement, motivation, and how you leverage those opportunities presented to you within your event, ultimately define your success. Technology is the new gateway to communication. Current charitable physical events over the years have engaged in peer-to-peer fundraising. To accomplish this task, we have always gone to utilize the back-end systems that allow you to create a personal web page, add a story, fundraise for a cause. Probably very similar, or in fact, your system is Donor Drive. Shameless plug for Donor Drive.
Hello.
One of the other key factors in developing online execution is your ability to create community through technology. Through platforms like Donor Drive that understand the necessity for this, they have created their system to allow you to maximize the development in helping to build that communication gateway to your donors. In layman's terms, that means the system allows you to stream other widely effective, efficient social platforms like Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live, all to help you tell your story to your event webpage. This simple API is one of the best features that Donor Drive offers, and hence technology offers us to be able to help in a variety of different ways to make your event come to life. People want to get involved with others. That's the community in something much bigger than just doing something individually. Using these systems allows you to attract the largest audience by giving the foundation the flexibility to choose the level of fundraising requirement to participate, which in turn lowers the barrier to entry for that participation. Previously, I used the word democratic, and in this case, it pertains directly to allowing the maximum number of people to participate in the initiative, which is creating the community. Transformation between physical events and online we feel there's a need to create the entertainment for the cause. The Foundation 5, which I coined that phrase many years ago, which most of the people on this call have experience in executing: walk, run, bike, golf, and gala, all can be transformed in online events. These differ from the gaming event described earlier by Don, because in those, the game itself is the entertainment. These differ because from a Foundation 5 event, you need to create reasons to participate through the entertainment. Looking at it from a different perspective, ask the hard question that ultimately will lead to your event being successful. Why would I want to attend the event? Something I do all the time, and probably what you're thinking about right now. In the physical event world, there are many tactics that we use to attract new and old donors to participate and fully engage in our events. The social aspect of physical events have the advantage, creating the interaction between people, which helps them generate interest, passion, compassion to whatever is taking place. With the new interest in online events, it's a new form of activity. Donors realize they have no physical interaction. They may or may not see the social implications of participating online, unless the story is being told correctly. It needs to be exciting. The concept developed has to have a strategic plan that generates a sense of energy. Other tactics used when producing content for the online event is to bring the cause to life. It needs to be fun. The world we live in now, and I'm confident that 110% of you who are on this call need something to smile about on your face. This can be accomplished in a variety of different ways: humor, celebrities, influencers, and even through multi-level incentives that could be earned based on fundraising. I've mentioned a couple of key factors or tactics so far we believe are critical to the execution of an online event. Here is a couple of examples. We'll apply it to an event we recently created called Hockey to Help. Given this current status of the pandemic, we felt it was incumbent upon ourselves to create an event that was timely. We took a look at the marketplace overall, and if you recall, the first major shock to our systems that triggered everything to come to an immediate stop was sports. The cancellation of the NBA, NHL, baseball, soccer, golf, racing also created a massive void for rich content, both physically as well as on TV. I don't know about anybody else on this call, but I have now seen the 1983 Masters 3 times. And I'm old enough to have seen it originally in 1983, so I don't really want to see it again. By the way, yeah, Seve Ballesteros did win it. One of the reasons we developed the initiative was to create exciting content for the hockey community who is currently starving, pardon the pun, for what would have been currently the hockey playoffs. We quickly reached out to a couple of national foundations. One was Second Harvest in Canada, and the other was Volunteers of America. Both these organizations are at the forefront of delivering food and essential services to the most vulnerable communities. So right away, our story was relevant for today's times. I'd also like to say that this event from concept to execution was done in 30 days. Don mentioned a key factor called amplification. And there's a variety of ways that recruitment, engagement, and stewardship messaging can all be disseminated to your donor base. Firstly, sponsors in physical events, we've all had them. Different levels, different associations. One of the nice things about virtual events is that it provides the opportunity to find non-traditional sponsors. A different form of media online can have increase and has the potential for you to have a broader distribution of your message, so your story in turn may help bring in net new sponsors and donors. As an example of a partner in Hockey to Help, we brought in GameStop and EB Games. They provided us with the credibility of having the largest international retailer in the space on our side. But way more importantly, they provided us with pricing and amplification. We needed to engage the influencer market of online hockey. We needed to increase the entertainment value, so we peaked. We had to recruit actual NHL players. We had the two charities and all of their supporters and ambassadors to help round out and build our community. We had a lot of avenues to leverage, which allowed us the largest possible reach because of the number of different categories we had, and we had the ability to sustain the entertainment factor over several weeks. Here's a quick example of how we leveraged all of the stakeholders previously mentioned. We took the advantage of the influencer to create a video for the sponsor to get them to engage.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Nasher here, pumped to announce a 2-week charity event called Hockey to Help. All sorts of NHL players, YouTubers, and Twitch streamers are coming together to raise money for local food banks in both the United States and Canada. We have all sorts of crazy matchups planned out that'll be going down at twitch.tv/Nasher. Big thanks to GameStop and EB Games for coming through with gift cards for those that donate. If you guys want the chance to win some insane prizes, feel free to visit hockeytohelp.net or tune in on Twitch. We'll see you guys then, and peace.
By utilizing Nasher, the influencer, we produced a customized video at no cost that gave it to the sponsor to help further engage their community to the event. In this case, the customization of that video for GameStop allowed them to disseminate that video to their 10 million member of their loyalty card program. In addition, Bauer Sports, one of the leading hockey equipment manufacturers, we did the same thing. We created unique pricing. We allowed them to then disseminate that to their social media and bring those people in. All the above mentioned executions had a desired result. Sponsors, partners, pricing, and incentives, whether physical or digitally created, all help build the communication consortium. Other ways of driving amplification by creating events within events, such as simple challenges being executed by your participants. Personal experiences and commitments to the community are the best sales personnel to help tell your story. When peer-to-peer fundraisers get something for their efforts, whether through incentives, through pricing, they're always way more engaged, and the value proposition of what you delivered changes that dynamic. The value proposition in the end is one of the key factors ensuring that you're maximizing your fundraising and hence the overall success of the event. Return on investment over the past 20 years has always been a KPI. Whether the investment comes in the form of fundraising, increased database, visibility, awareness, whatever it may be. As an example of how we leverage influencer, celebrity, and tied it back to media, I'm going to show you a small clip from one of our streaming games in which we had Nasher, the NHL's #1 content creator, ask the Hughes brothers, who are NHL players, a couple of questions during the stream. But the key note here was the questions were actually provided by ESPN, which in turn used the footage as part of a much bigger story, helping to drive the amplification.
Keep your mind off things or stay busy. Like, you guys pick up any new hobbies or any activities, anything you guys are up to?
Brady and I have been golfing a ton. Golf courses are open here, which is super nice. So just the weather was like 90 degrees yesterday. So we've just been outside pretty much all day, just hanging out, trying to get out of the house.
Beauty. Hughes boys, anything for you guys?
Nothing too crazy. Kind of just trying to get by. Played our first round of golf yesterday. A lot of basketball in the driveway.
This was a great example of how we integrated influencer, celebrity, and media. Another example how we used the platform to build our communication consortium was leveraging traditional media to increase our return on investment. The Toronto Star ad, perfect example of integrating Toronto traditional media with an online event, highlighting our schedule of play. This actually was disseminated over many newspapers across North America. Subsequently, the next video I'm going to show you is a national broadcaster, which also achieved similar results.
With the hockey season on hold for the foreseeable future, Leaf star Mitch Marner is putting his energy into some other things.
And that includes work with his charity. Marner is now finding new ways to use his time, focusing much of that energy on charity work.
Yep. Right, you guys, game. Let's go, boys. Hey. Let's go. What a cannon.
Today, Marner joined top-rated gamers for a fundraiser called Hockey to Help, contributing to the COVID-19 relief efforts of Second Harvest Canada and Volunteers of America. It's day one of a 14-day campaign streamed live on Twitch TV, in which viewers donate for a chance to win prizes, experiences, and memorabilia.
Obviously, right now through this whole COVID thing, there's been a lot of things that have gone down, and for us, it's just trying to get meals out to people.
His work doesn't end with Hockey to Help. That's just a small play in the bigger playbook.
Seeing the impact that my team and I had on the children and seeing how happy they were to see us in there.
Oh. Being productive while in self-isolation.
All right.
So I know we've thrown a lot at you today, but I think if you boil it down, there's a few key factors that are necessary to ensure your physical event transformation to an online event will be successful. Entertainment, technology, community, the value proposition, amplification, return on investment, and don't forget to build that media consortium. For those who are looking to make the transition from traditional to online, I know it can be daunting, but there is great news. We've already developed a series of online events for the Foundation 5, Walk, Run, Bike, Golf, and Gala. We are happy to discuss any of these opportunities in the future. I believe there's a calendar being disseminated where you can sign up and we will respond accordingly. At this time, I'd like to thank Aaron and Donor Drive, as well as my partner Don, for their time today, and I greatly appreciate all of yours. Hopefully, we've opened a world of possibilities for you and your foundations and nonprofits in the online world. I think we have some time for Q&A, so I'll pass it back to Aaron. Be well, be safe.
Well, thank you, Joel, and thank you, Don. That was a great presentation. I really appreciate all of the storytelling and just the experiences you guys have been having with doing these virtual contests and events and bringing in interesting guests and whatnot. So right now we've opened it up for Q&A. So you guys can drop questions in and we'll go through as many as we can over the next 10 minutes or so. While you guys are doing that, I'll just have a few other housekeeping items to call out. We just dropped into the chat a link that Xtream Solutions put together. It's a link where you can go sign up have a 30-minute conversation with Don and Joel afterward. If you'd like to take advantage of that, it's a first come, first serve thing. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, if you stay on the line, a survey will appear, and we would love your feedback if you could let us know how this presentation was and how we can make it better, or just if you have any other lingering questions that would maybe help you out with. Again, I'll reiterate, the webinar recording will be sent out to all attendees and registrations a few hours after this webinar concludes. And we will also have this recording along with all the other recordings we've done on, they'll be on the Donor Drive website. If you go to the resources section, you'll be able to find the Building Virtual Events series, and you can watch all of the webinars that we've done. We've covered all kinds of topics, mostly relating to all relating to virtual events and how, but there's all of the different nuances and different types. And we brought in different either client guests or had our own team just break down what some pro tips and things you can do to really boost your fundraising with virtual events. So thank you all for coming. I'm going to jump into questions now. It looks like we've got a fair bit in here, so we'll kind of go back and forth between Joel and Don. The first question that I have, I'll have Don start us off, is how do you recommend connecting with celebrities and content creators for our cause? So,
great question. let me just say that this is the one thing that you really have to start probing your own database. And this is probably 2 concentric rings out from maybe what you're typically going to say are people that you could go to immediately and ask for their participation and support. So what we've done is we've always found 1, and 1 always leads to 2, and 2 typically leads to 3. This is the hard work part for many people. There's a number of charities that they have spent a lot of time over the years developing this side of their business. But I would say if you haven't, I think that there's even things that you can do from a questionnaire standpoint with your current customers, your current donors, because I think a lot of them may have people in their community or their families that are actually content creators that you didn't even know about. And it's a great way to get started. And once you get your foot in the door with content creators especially, that tends to really have an amplification effect. 1's going to lead to 2, and 2's going to lead to 4, and they're going to get their friends involved. It's just the way they move. They tend to move in groups. And if you can get into 1, it's going to have a nice impact, and you're going to be able to have more than just 1 supporting your efforts.
Great, thank you. Here's a softball questions. I'm going to throw 2 questions at you, Joel. 1 is very, very simple. Someone wants to know, where'd you get that awesome jacket? And so if you want to answer some fashion question real quick, and then I'll get you the second question.
I spent half of my year in LA, and I bought it at, unfortunately, at one of my favorite stores, which I understand is in protection, but I bought it in LA at Neiman Marcus on Wilshire.
Oh, nice, nice. So here's the more serious question. What if our current sponsors don't feel it is a benefit to sponsor virtual events? What can we show them to change their mind? How would you go about influencing them on that?
Yeah, so I think the difference is they probably don't understand the amplification opportunities between what Don just talked about in terms of the celebrity or the influencer, and the combination of creating that media consortium that I tried to discuss earlier. Was the combination of all of that exponentially gives them a better return on their investment than if they were just doing a physical event. The number of people that can participate online is not just necessarily in their region. It could be in the state or in the province or in the country, or in, as Don alluded to, in our Game to Give program, went internationally to 125 countries. So just think of that kind of return on investment possibility when you're presenting, is that exponentially more people can hear the message and be connected to the cause and be part of a greater community with their participation.
Great. So back to Don. This question is, when asking a celebrity or influencer, is it simple to ask, hey, will you help us with our charity event, or will we need to present them with a guideline and paperwork? So how do you go about navigating your first touch if you are to, talk to a celebrity?
And this is a bit of a follow-up to the earlier question, is with the influencer too, there are some agencies out there that we can let you guys know about, that actually all they do is represent influencers. And to get to know somebody inside the agency that you can pitch your story to, that in turn they can say, well, you know what, I've got somebody in Cincinnati that is a big influencer that would probably love if you're a Cincinnati charity, or there's somebody that really is passionate about diabetes because they know that one of their influencers has that particular disease. That's a great additional way that you can network and get into influencers. But we also find that these influencers want to give back, and this is an opportunity. We don't find that we pay for their services. This is something that we want to engage them because this is something they're passionate about, something they could really rally around. And I will tell you, there's a lot of the influencers that don't have something to rally around, and they're always looking for opportunities. So even though they may do one, I found that many of them will often do multiple charities and embrace them.
Great.
And I got this at the PGA Superstore in Phoenix.
I love it.
And I got this from the Donor Drive swag store, which I run and manage myself. All right. So the next question I have is, do you guys work with Twitch exclusively, or do you guys use YouTube Live, Facebook Live for charity events? And if you do, like, what are the pros and cons with those platforms comparatively?
So I think we can use all of the platforms, all the social media platforms. I think Don mentioned Twitch specifically, but it didn't matter. When we refer back to it, we used Donor Drive as our website. And quite frankly, it's one of the few back-end fundraising systems that have the ability to stream Twitch or YouTube or Facebook into it. So it's really a question of driving to your website to be able to drive the community and the entertainment value there. It's not so much driving it on all the other platforms as it is bringing people to the website in which you're trying to fundraise against. And so the nice thing about that is you get both. You get the YouTube and the Facebook Live amplification, but you also get the amplification off your own website that happens to be on that system. That's what I was speaking to earlier, that API that Donor Drive has is the ability to be able to create the entertainment, and we can sustain it over a long period of time, which allows you to build that community and involvement.
Aaron, I'm going to just add just an addendum to what Joel said, because he's right on. And the other thing is, it's really going to be influencer dependent. I'll give you an example. Is one of the largest influencers in the world is Ninja. He was on Twitch, and he's made the jump to Mixer. And Mixer is a Microsoft platform, but nevertheless, he would not be on Twitch. He would be on Mixer. So it really becomes kind of influencer preference. And some people are very YouTube centric and are very big YouTube content creators. So I think that is really probably where the road starts. And then, like Joel said, we want to move them all back. And that's the beauty of the Donor Drive system, is we can simulcast, and that's what we did in Game to Give. We can simulcast those feeds, whether it be Donor Drive, Mixer, or whatever, and we can actually show that on Donor Drive, where a lot of the people that participated in our last event, they actually consumed the event on Donor Drive.
Wow, nice. Here's a technical question, and I think kind of goes right in the hand with this one. Is there a way to show logos of sponsors and org donors during the entire presentation and webinar? And I know the answer to this, but if you guys would like to, jump in and explain how you guys do it, feel free to go ahead.
One of the things that we do whenever we connect with influencers, streamers, content creators, is we create a content asset package. And on that, we do a lot of overlays where they'll actually take our assets that we create that has the sponsors on them, and they will actually put that up on the screen. So that is up the entire time that they're doing their broadcasts. And it really has become a fundamental piece of what we do when we're working with influencers, is we provide them with assets. We also provide them with assets like your stories and your logos and the things that you approve to give to them. They'll take those because they're hungry to mix it up and make their things fresh. And then they'll actually show those things. And a lot of times you got to be careful with the balance of sponsors, because they don't want to act like they're endorsing a specific sponsor. So they have to understand and embrace what you're doing. But there's a balance there, but it can be done. And that's one of the big ways that we do it.
Great. We've got about 5 more minutes, so we'll do one, maybe 2 more questions, depending on how quick we get through it. So what are some ways you've seen smaller organizations, ones without a ton of money or manpower, throw a virtual pivot or create a fun content in an online event?
I'm not sure. Online events is something that's fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it should be an emergency reaction to our given situation. I think online events are here to stay. We've proven them since last year that you can, generate, tremendous millions of dollars in a very short period of time, executing fully integrated online events. But the cost structures are such that the workflow might be equal to a physical event, but the cost structures are much less. You don't have dinners and ballrooms and those and stages and that type of thing that traditionally get executed at a physical event. You have some different types of initiatives, and I think the virtual or online event world gives you the opportunity to look for those non-traditional avenues to be able to reduce your cost structure in the initiative. So whether it's a small foundation or a very large foundation, I think if you stick to the fundamentals that we had discussed earlier, and you're able to tell your story very well, then I think you'll be successful in that endeavor.
Well, great. I think we are at time. Thank you both, Don and Joel, for just doing such a fantastic job and coming with all these great ideas and ways to engage everyone virtually. Well, quick, we're going to have a survey pop up at the conclusion here in just a second. So if you would take that, that would be remarkable feedback for us. And we will have the recording sent out to everyone, and we'll have it up on our website in a few hours. But thank you both for coming, and
thank you.
Yeah, have a great one, everyone. Enjoy the sunshine.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, bye.